Whenever we are going for a vacation, we plan many things: where we have to go, when we have to go, which are the people who are going there, what will be the total amount that we are going to spend there. There is a very high possibility that when we plan it good, we can enjoy the vacation to the fullest. Something similar is with respect to the APQP process, wherein there are 5 phases, where the first phase is talking about the plan and define. So unless and until we are doing everything in a systematic manner, we are planning everything, there is a very high possibility that if we are not doing it systematically, whatever further steps are there with respect to the new product development, we may face a lot of problems in that. Now, APQP third edition was published in March 2024, where the objective was that whatever changes are happening in the recent times, it can be with respect to the mobility, with respect to the electric vehicle, with respect to the risk, and so many other factors, how all those can be incorporated into the latest manual. That's why the new version is there. Now, in my previous video, I talked about the overall view with respect to all the 5 phases. And in this, by the time this video will end, you will understand about what we need to do before starting the phase 1, what are the 17 points with respect to the phase 1, what are the challenges that industry is facing, and what are the key changes in comparison to the APQP second edition. So let's start by understanding first with respect to the preparation, because preparation is always very important. Unless and until we prepare good, there is a high possibility that we may falter. So some of the key points before we go for the phase 1, let me share all that. The first important point is with respect to the team formation and governance. So there should be a cross-functional team whose objective is to understand that what they are going to do, whether they are competent, and all those aspects that needs to be seen. Then organization must understand the customer requirement and customer specific requirement. Then another important aspect before going further is with respect to the program timing and the milestone. The people should be aware that what are the timelines and what needs to be achieved, at a certain timeline. Then another important aspect before starting phase 1 is with respect to the resource planning, that whether we have got adequate resources, equipment, tooling, and then what are the lessons learned, and whether top management commitment is there, whether they are involved in this entire process, and what is their thought process with respect to that. Now let's talk with respect to the phase 1. Now, as I said earlier, that there are 17 points, but not all the points are applicable to all the organizations. It will depend upon the criticality of the process, criticality of the product. Based on that, the organization need to see that which point is relevant for them. And if the organization is not design responsible, there are many points which are not applicable. But end of the day, the most important objective of any new development is only 3 factors: Q, C, and D: quality, cost, and delivery. So these are the 3 factors that must be kept in mind while doing the development part. So let's understand all the 17 points with respect to the phase 1. The first point is talking with respect to the voice of the customer. Now, this is the most important point with respect to the first point. Now, here the intent is that whatever customer requirement with respect to the critical requirements, with respect to the drawings, technical specifications, any special characteristics, or anything else is there, that all should be understood by the organizations. Then there are certain other points which are important to have a better understanding about the product, the process, and also about the market also. So this includes business plan and marketing strategy, to understand the cost target, volume estimate, to have some benchmarking data with respect to the product and process, that what are the similar kind of product which are there. Say for example, our organization is going for a mid-size car. So which are the cars which are there at the moment in the market, and what are their specifications? So all that needs to be understood before going further. Then another important aspect is with respect to some assumptions with respect to the product and process. We need to understand with respect to what can be the possible risk, what are the opportunities, what are the design feasibilities, capacities, all needs to be understood before. Then another important aspect at this time is about product reliability study, that what is the expectation from the consumer, that what kind of expectation is there with respect to the other models which are there in the industry. Maybe there are certain points with respect to the product life. Say in context of India, the life of a vehicle is 15 years. So how at the time of designing we are taking care with respect to all those points. Then some other inputs can be with respect to the customer requirements. As I said earlier about the voice of the customer, there can be some point with respect to the design goals. If organization is design responsible, then there are certain aspects with respect to the design. It can be about expected product life, endurance, durability, whether the design is manufacturable or not. Maybe we created the world class design, but whether it can be translated into a car which can be manufactured at a certain cost or not, that makes a lot of difference. Then another aspect is with respect to the reliability and quality goals. Maybe the product life expectancy like 10 years, 15 years, maybe 2 lakh kilometers, maybe with respect to the customer scorecards, KPIs, all those things are important and relevant. Now, the next point is the real tangible points which we can see, and that point is talking with respect to the preliminary bill of materials. So when we are making a car, so for that, what are the components, what are the different products, and what are the different things that we need to do? So all that things becomes a part of the preliminary bill of material that gives an idea that what can be the final output that is going to be assembled in a form of a car. Then after that, the next important aspect is with respect to the preliminary process flowchart, how things are going to move, what are the new processes, what are the unique processes, what are the bottlenecks that can be there. Once we make a preliminary flowchart, that helps us to understand and see that what can be the possible risk and what needs to be done with respect to that. Then another important aspect is with respect to identification of the special characteristics. Now all these special characteristics may be either coming from the customer or maybe it is based on the past learning, where an organization can identify that these are the critical characteristics that they need to take care in the further processes. Then another important aspect is with respect to the product assurance plans. Now we are making some documentation to understand about the different milestones and other things. Then capacity planning plays a very important role. Now, unless and until organization knows that whether they can able to make 10,000 cars in a month, whether they are able to understand that whether the supplier base has got that much of capacity to give that much of components to them and their sub-suppliers, it is not possible to achieve the target. So capacity planning plays a very important role. Then another important aspect here is with respect to the leadership. So what kind of role or what kind of commitment top management is having, whether there is any escalation metrics that in case at one level something is not happening, we can go to the next level or to the next level to get our work done. So that is a role of leadership to take care with respect to that. Then another important aspect is with respect to the change management implementation. So it's a new clearly defined requirement in APQP 3rd edition that at the time of development there can be many changes with respect to the product and with respect to the process. So how to handle all those changes, how to make sure that this change management process can be done in an effective manner. Then another important point is with respect to the APQP metrics. Now this point was not very clearly available in the previous version, but here the intent is that what can be the timeline, PPAP submission, risk closures, anything with respect to the customer, any track leading and lagging indicators, all those things can be there. And the last and the 17th point is talking with respect to the risk assessment. So we need to also understand that what are the possible inherent risks which are there at the time of new development, what are the challenges they can face at the time of new development, and then cross-functional team has to work together to identify what needs to be done with respect to that. So these are the 17 different points. Depending upon the organization, it will be seen that what needs to be applied and what is not required for the organization. So that brings another important aspect, that what are the key changes from APQP version 2 to APQP version 3. So let me share some of them. The first is with respect to a formal phase 0 that's there, then gated management system, where they are talking about 6 gates with respect to development to see that whether we have done everything what was required in that particular phase or not. Then another change here is with respect to the APQP program metrics, then sourcing and high-risk supplier management system, and then as I said in the previous version also, there is a separate control plan manual is there which was not there in the previous version. Now as we talked about so many things which is required, we also need to understand that what is the present market situation and what is happening in the industry. So let me share some of the key challenges that industry is facing. The first one is about the cross-functionality. Now, whenever we are starting any new development, we first make a cross-functional team. But how often? Organization clearly defines a cross-functional team. How often the people from different processes are working together to make sure to develop a right product? That is a big challenge in the industry. Then the second point is with respect to the voice of the customer. Unless and until organization understand that what the customer is seeking, what is their expectation, what they are looking for, there is a high possibility that the final product will either not meet the requirement, and even if we are able to make it, it may not give that kind of desired results that we are looking for. And the third and the foremost challenge that industry is always facing is the involvement of top management. Many of the cases it happens that maybe in the beginning top management is there, but after a while their focus shifts, so the new development process impacts affect in a great deal. So if I do a summary, I talked about the phase one. Now phase one is just like a basement for making any building. So unless and until that basement is good, whatever things we are going to build on, they all will be not very strong. And I also talk about the preparatory phase, that what thing needs to be done before starting that. And I talked about the 17 different inputs which are there as a part of phase one. I also talked about the key changes from APQP second edition to the third edition. And then finally, I also talked about with respect to the key challenges that industry is facing. My next video will be about the phase two, that is talking about the product and the process design phase. Regularly, I'm getting a lot of feedback from your side and they're helping me to understand your expectations. So please do continue that. In case you want to understand a little bit more about this particular video, you'll find a link below. If you click that, you'll find a blog there. There you find this information in much more detail. And in case you're liking these kind of blogs and videos, you can always share with your friends and colleagues, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and my website, bhavyamangla.com. I've got another channel, Life Lessons with Bhavya Mangla. So in case you want to know a little bit more about life and its challenges, you can always look into it and you can subscribe to that channel too. Thank you.